Should the Bulls foul? No. Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied. And Rose comes back. Anthony backs in, turns, puts it up. Puts it in. Over the floor, outside of Carmelo. Head down, 15-footer away.
In the history of the NBA, there have been many talented players that have been forgotten, but there are some that are true icons that inspire generations. Carmelo Anthony had his fair share of love and hate from fans throughout his career. Even though he never got far in the playoffs, one thing's for sure, he's one of the all-time greatest scorers in NBA history. So was his career a total flop, or just a case of bad luck with his circumstances? Is there a side of Carmelo Anthony that demands more respect beyond what meets the eye? Born on May 29, 1984 in Brooklyn, New York, Carmelo Anthony grew up in the Red Hook housing project where crime was almost an everyday thing. His father died of liver cancer when he was just 2 years old, and he was left in the care of his mom, Mary, who also had another 3 children to attend to. 6 years later, they moved to Baltimore when Melo was 8. Growing up in the rough streets of West Baltimore, Melo had 2 paths to choose from: street life or sports.
It was tough, man. Every hood got the same story at the end of the day, but going from New York, Brooklyn, in the height of the early 90s, you know, that crack era hitting, you know, it's like I'm growing up in that. I didn't know it, but I'm growing up in that.
Right.
And then I go from that situation to be more, it's like,
worse.
it was worse, but I thought it was better. I'm out the projects now, but I'm in the house. I'm in the row house. I'm like, okay, bedroom a little bigger, another extra room in there. You know what I'm saying? I feel good, but I went to Baltimore the summer of '92, and that was the heyday of, you know, it was Bodymore Murderland at that point in time. The pharmacy, you know what I'm saying? The Wire, like all of that stuff started to hit, and I'm just a product of that environment, man. And I'll never forget that ever. I'll never forget that moment.
Melo made the right choice by choosing basketball as his sanctuary against the tough environment he's facing. He and his buddies would always set up pickup games, and if the courts were full, they would find creative ways just to play ball, even to the extent of creating their own hoop out of anything they can find. As he grew into a young man, Melo's talent for basketball was already quite evident, and a 5-inch growth spurt helped him to become a local superstar in Baltimore. Melo attended Towson Catholic High School, and during his sophomore and junior years, he dominated games whether it's in his school or in the AAU games that he was participating in. And within a few years, he has earned multiple Player of the Year awards as well as an excellent highlight reel. In his senior year, Melo transferred to the famous Oak Hill Academy, where he would continue to make a name for himself, averaging almost 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists a game, while leading his school to a 32-1 record in the 2001 to 2002 season. The same season where he clashed and defeated LeBron James and his St. Vincent St. Mary squad in front of an 11,000-person crowd in New Jersey. At this point, Melo was already recognized as a top 3 player in the nation and a household name among some true fans of the game. With the way he's dominating the competition in high school, lots of Division I teams in college were trying to recruit Carmelo. Even though lots of people were saying he's more than ready to enter the NBA, Melo decided to go to college and attended Syracuse University under Jim Boeheim's basketball program for 1 year during the 2002 season.
I know you win a national title at Syracuse, but if you could have come out of high school right to the pros, would you have done that?
No.
You weren't ready?
I don't think I was ready. I don't think I was ready. I had the opportunity to come, but I always wanted to go to college.
As the most highly anticipated college player at that time, Melo delivered as advertised, averaging a double-double with 22 points and 10 rebounds a game to lead Syracuse to their first ever NCAA tournament title in 2003.
Outside 3. Anthony shut down this time. Gets it right back. See where he gets it back in a little closer. Clock 7-second differential. Anthony over Collison this time. Gets it. Heinrich puts up the shot. It's too long, and Syracuse is your national champion.
On top of this, he was the best player on the team that year, as he led not just in scoring, but also in rebounding, field goals made, free throws made, as well as minutes played. Looking back to their glory days, Jim Boeheim shared his thoughts about the impact that Melo had on that championship squad and how it still continues to resonate to this very day.
How would you describe what Carmelo Anthony meant and means to the program? You've had so many great players and so many pros. come through Syracuse. It just feels there's something different about Melo and that run. What does he mean to the program?
He's meant everything to us. There's a reason that our practice facility is called the Carmelo Anthony Center. And you think back on it, he was here 1 year. He's shown tremendous loyalty and staying power with Syracuse basketball. He still resonates today with all of our fans.
After winning their first ever national title, Melo was determined to stay in the hopes of winning more championships. However, his coach said that his time was up because he was so good at this point that he didn't want Melo to waste the precious years of his basketball career at the collegiate level.
So I was actually enjoying myself up there in Syracuse. I didn't want to leave, and then Boeheim brought me in the office and kind of kicked me out.
He said, you got to go?
Yeah, he said it's
time?
Your services are no longer needed.
So the next stop for Melo was the NBA, and in a draft class that was stacked with future Hall of Famers like LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, Carmelo Anthony was selected as the 3rd overall pick by the Denver Nuggets, a team that had only won 17 games in the season prior to the 2003 draft.
The Denver Nuggets select Carmelo Anthony from Syracuse University.
Melo made a huge impact while he's in Denver as he took them to the postseason, while averaging 21 points and 6 rebounds on 42% shooting from the field and 32% from 3. His aggressive inside game paired with his smooth mid-range jumpers carried the Nuggets to the playoffs for the next 3 years. But despite their playoff struggles, Melo was always there to deliver clutch baskets and buzzer beaters when they needed it the most.
I guess so. 4 seconds. Down to 3. Carmelo Anthony goes. Boykin's looking for Melo. Carmelo's got it. Pull-up shoots. Gets it to Carmelo. Pounded by Trenton Hassel. Over Hassel. Hands of Anthony versus Granger. 4 seconds. Rises from deep and hits. Carmelo off the dribble. Yes.
But the lack of offensive support for Melo has proved to be the major factor that hindered their playoff success, as they only won a total of 3 playoff games from 2003 to 2006 while getting booted out in the first round every year. Clearly, Melo needed help, and the Nuggets responded by trading for the one and only Allen Iverson in the 06-07 season to lift some of the scoring load off of Melo's shoulders. In their first season together, Iverson averaged almost 25 points a game, while Melo remained the top scorer for the Nuggets with 29 points a game and also earned his first All-Star appearance in the process. The Melo AI experiment seemed to be working at first. However, after back-to-back first-round losses in the hands of the Spurs and the Lakers, the Nuggets realized that Iverson was not the answer that they were looking for. And fast forward to the 08-09 season, Denver traded Iverson to Detroit in exchange for veteran point guard and one-time NBA champion Chauncey Billups.
Ahead is Billups. There goes Melo. And they open for a moment. Now he gets it. Carmelo trying again. You are shooting Melo. Pull up right there. He does. Carmelo drive down the lane. Here he comes.
That year, the Nuggets finally advanced past the first round by knocking out the Hornets and then defeating the Mavericks to reach the conference finals. But despite Melo averaging more than 27 points a game in the Western Conference Finals, the Lakers were just too much for the Nuggets to handle in 6 games. And just like that, Melo and the Nuggets were back to square one. Things started to go south for Melo and the Nuggets in the following season, as it ended in another disappointing first-round exit in the hands of the Jazz. And on top of their on-court struggles, rumors were also building up about a rift between Melo and then-coach George Karl. And the 2010 season would be Melo's final year wearing the Nuggets jersey as he got shipped to the New York Knicks midway through the season.
Carmelo was a true conundrum for me. In the 6 years I had him, he was the best offensive player I ever coached. He was also a user of people, addicted to the spotlight and very unhappy when he had to share it.
I didn't want to leave Denver. You know what I'm saying? I never told people that, but I never wanted to leave Denver. But it's like they put my back against the wall. We go to the Western Conference Finals in 09. What you supposed to do? Supposed to build on that. Supposed to add a piece here, plug and play, don't mess the core up. They got rid of Dante Jones. Right, and on that team, Dante was a key piece on that team. Get rid of Dante Jones. They like, we ain't re-signing Chauncey. We about to trade JR. Kmart, you know what I'm saying? Contracts is up, and the lockout was coming. So I'm like, I'm not about to rebuild. I'm not gonna rebuild after we done went to the Western Conference Finals. We supposed to be building, not rebuilding.
Right.
And I went to him, I'm like, look, I don't wanna go, but if y'all gonna rebuild, it's time for me to go somewhere else.
Upon arriving in New York, Melo made an immediate impact by taking the Knicks back to the playoffs after a 6-year drought. In the regular season, he averaged 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in his first season with the Knicks.
Melo with Blatch there, and he scores on Anderson. Shumpert for Anthony. Yes. Anthony for 3. Bang!
However, it seems that bad luck continued to follow Melo as the Knicks got swept by the Celtics in the playoffs. Although the 2011 season was Melo's official first full season as a Knick, things didn't look that easy for him as the team was riddled with injuries, and Melo himself missed 11 games as well. Despite this setback, the Knicks managed to pull through thanks to the Linsanity fever that was brought on by Jeremy Lin.
Lin drives in and lays it in. The open floor spinning, puts it up and banks it. Lin for the win.
That same year, the Knicks entered the playoffs as the 7th seed, but the Miami Heat knocked them out in 5 games. Melo was still able to rack up 28 points per game in that series, along with 8.2 rebounds on 41% shooting, to show that there's still a lot of fight left in him.
Again. Tough turnaround shot. Over. Anthony fakes, drives past him. Clutch it, puts it in. And 5 on the shot clock. Anthony, one dribble. That's a 3. It's good.
Carmelo was a consistent all-star throughout his entire stint with the Knicks from 2010 to 2017, and he created a ton of great moments that will go down in NBA history, such as his masterful 62-point performance in Madison Square Garden.
11 all-star teams. Anthony gets past and finishes. Anthony's going to try and get one more shot off the half court at the buzzer. Oh, he puts it! A 19 of 25.
Right there, the ball gravitating
out of the Knicks.
They should set that play up.
Anthony leads in. That shot is good. Carmelo Anthony with the greatest scoring game in Knicks history. He's got 62.
They're going to bring him out.
Man, playing for the Knicks was like, it was exciting. It was a burst of energy that you had to have. Like, you know, felt like you was just in this, like this bubble of tension in a good way, right? Especially when it came to playing and being out there on the court and competing. When you compete for the New York Knicks, like it's different. It's a different feeling that you get.
After being the main option in both Denver and New York, Melo decided to join other playoff contending teams like OKC, Houston, Portland, and finally the LA Lakers. Despite being already labeled as washed up by lots of people in the media, Melo was still able to contribute at the highest level to the teams that he played for, with his ability to knock down shots as an elite-level scorer. After averaging 24 points in Denver and New York, Melo continued to rack up points at the latter part of his career. And even though his scoring average went down as he grew older, he remained quite efficient by averaging 45% from the field, along with 35% in terms of three-point percentage. And at the end of the day, Melo remained true to himself by perfecting his game at each stage of his career.
One loss record. The reigning three-point shooting champ, Melo, with the
of winning seasons and the playoff appearances.
Okay, here comes the heat check right now.
Even though he fell short of winning a championship, no one can deny the fact that Carmelo Anthony is an all-time great. A 10-time All-Star, NCAA champion, and a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, and ranked as the 11th highest scoring leader in NBA history. That's how good Carmelo Anthony really was. Melo stayed mellow and he stayed ready through all the ups and the downs. When it's all said and done, being true to yourself is the only thing that's important.
I'm at peace. Like, you hear the water, you hear the... That doesn't bother me no more today as far as, like, you're a loser if you don't win a championship ring. For me, I've won. You know, I've won back in June of '03, shaking David Stern hand, I've won in life. I got out of Red Hook, like I've won. The only thing I haven't won was an NBA championship. And it's not that much weight for me. That is what it is. That's just one part of my life. The ring is the ring. That's for the sport. That's for me competing at the highest level. That's for me. That's my accomplishment. But that doesn't mean I've lost a ring in life.